First, the seasonableness. There is a time for all purposes, and every word and action is beautiful in his own time. A public engagement is then seasonable. Number 1, when a land hath been full of troubles. God by such troubles prepares a people for him in this duty. Quote, I will cause you to pass under the rod, and so I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. Unquote. And we feel God hath chastised us sore of late, and in them he hath not given us over to death, that by them he might prepare us for himself. When a land hath been full of corruptions, and a shrewd decay hath been in spirituals, by a covenant hath such a people recovered themselves and regained their God. After the great apostasy by Athaliah, Jehoiada renewed the interest by a covenant. When Manasseh and his son had suffered destruction from God, and advanced idolatry with or above God, Josiah purged all by a covenant. Our decays are evident, our corruptions destructive, our covenant, therefore, seasonable. Come, let us engage our hearts to approach to God. Number 3, when the enemy begins to fall and God begins to shine upon his own. Asa, returning from a victory, called his land to a covenant. When Athaliah was slain, the league was sworn by Joash and his kingdom. Since this motion of a covenant is come among us, God hath, as it were, begun to draw near, in the siege of Gloucester raised, in the success of Newbury gained. God is worming out his and our adversaries, which he will do by little and little till they be consumed. The covenant is seasonable. Second, the success. Come and see the works of the Lord, what wonders he hath wrought when a people hath thus bound themselves to be his. Number 1, a king injuriously put from his right by an usurping hand after such a covenant was reestablished. Quote, he sat him down on the throne of the kings. Unquote. Number 2, a land miserably put from its peace after such a covenant was resettled. Peace was reobtained, and that as a fruit of prayer, and so acknowledged, quote, Israel had sworn and sought God. God was found of them, and the Lord gave them rest round about. Unquote. Number 3, religion craftily and wickedly put from its purity after such a covenant was reformed, after such a reformation continued. The engagement being made, quote, all Josiah's days, they returned not back from the Lord God of their fathers. Unquote. Number 4, rebels in rebellion, basely and bloodily backed and managed against the Lord and his ways, against his people and their practices, after such a covenant, have been overthrown and subdued. Quote, I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. Unquote. Then I will sever from among you the rebels. I will chase them from their own land and hinder that they shall not enter into the land of Israel. The Lord give this success concerning Ireland. Sever out the rebels there from true subjects. Chase them into their own land, and yet keep them from ever entering into our land, the land of the inheritance of the Lord. Now these successful effects of covenanting well-minded, first, may hint to us a satisfactory reason, in case peace comes not presently. God hath some more adversaries to overthrow, to worm out. His sword hath not eaten flesh enough, neither are his arrows drunk with blood enough, with the blood of such earthly men, whom he hath appointed to destruction. The hearts of Philistines were so hardened that they never sought after peace. Quote, for it came of the Lord, to the intent that they might be utterly destroyed. Unquote. Who knows whether our peace hath been denied, our propositions cast out, our treaties fruitless, for such an end as this? It was the Lord who hath a purpose to destroy more. God lays afflictions on his people, and they continue upon them. But in the mean space to quiet their spirits, he teacheth them out of his law, that these troubles must stay only, quote, till a pit be digged for the wicked. Unquote. Second, may encourage us to go on. You have now armor of proof, such armor as is not ordinary, armed with a covenant. Go, saith the angel to Gideon, in this thy might. Go, say I to every one, in this thy might, the strength of this thy covenant, and the effect will be such as is not ordinary. When the Philistines perceived that the Israelites had brought the ark of the covenant into the battle, they cried out, quote, woe unto us, for it hath not been so heretofore, woe unto us. Who shall deliver us out of the hands of these mighty gods? Unquote. When your enemies shall perceive that you come armed with the armor of a covenant with God, I hope they, struck with amazement, shall cry, quote, woe unto us, we were never so opposed before. Woe unto us, Who shall deliver us out of the power of this mighty prevailer? Unquote. If it will thus daunt, take it with you. Be strong. Again I say, go in the might thereof, and God shall prosper thee forever. Number 3. Satisfactory. According to the condition of the person, such is the nature of the objection. One, out of the malignity of his spirit, cavils against the work. Another, out of the tenderness of conscience, scruples the taking. I shall briefly touch upon one or two, and wind up all in a few words. The queries I have met with are such as these. 2 objections, when I was designed to this service, were sent me in writing, which, when thoroughly viewed, I perceived nothing at all to concern our case or covenant. Objection number 1. Whether by any law, divine or human, may reformation of religion be brought in by arms? Answer. Number 1. What is this at all to the covenant, where there is no mention of arms at all? Number 2. What is this to our present condition, where reforming by arms is not at all the question? For if reformation of religion be the case of our affairs, then either the Parliament are they that do it, or the Cavaliers. Not the Cavaliers, for they are on the defensive, witness all their declarations. Not the Parliament, for then the Cavaliers will be found fighters against religion and resistors of God. Number 3. I answer negatively. It is not. The sword is not the means which God hath ordained to propagate the gospel. Quote, go ye and teach all nations, unquote. Not go and subdue all nations, is our Master's precept. Objection number 2. Whether to swear to a government that shall be, or to swear not to dissent from such a future government, be not to swear upon an implicit faith. Answer number 1. This is nothing to the covenant, neither can I see upon what ground any should raise such an impertinent scruple. Number 2. It is, he that so swears, swears upon an implicit faith. For one reason against the articles of the prelates was, that they forced us to swear to the homilies that shall be set out. But these things are extravagant. Other objections by word of mouth have been propounded, some whereof I will here touch upon. Objection number 1. One would make a stand in the phrase, in our callings, as if some politic mystery were therein involved, and would have it changed, according to our callings, or so far forth as they extend. There is an identity in the phrase, an action enjoined to be done in such a place, every corner, as far as that place extends, is that place, and no other. All is one. Objection. How if the Parliament should hereafter see a convenience in prelacy for this kingdom, were not this oath then prejudicial, either to the Parliament's liberty or the kingdom's felicity? Answer. This objection supposes, first, that the most wicked anti-Christian government may be a lawful government in point of conscience. Second, that it is possible that this prelatic government may be convenient for a state or kingdom, when, as number 1, they have been burdensome in all ages. What opposites in England have they been to our kings, till their interests were changed? Number 2, all reformed religions in the world have expelled them as incompatible with Reformation. Number 3, they have set 3 kingdoms together by the ears, for the least and worst of causes, which now lie weltering in their own blood, ready to expire. Number 4, experience now shows there is no inconvenience in their want, either in Scotland or in England. Objection. But what? If the exorbitances be purged away, may not I, notwithstanding my oath, admit of a regulated prelacy? Answer. Number 1. We swear not against a government that is not. Number 2. We swear against the evils of every government, and doubtless many materials of prelacy must of necessity be retained as absolutely necessary. Number 3. Taking away the exorbitances, the remaining will be a new government and no prelacy. Objection. For the discovery of all malignants, all that have been, whether if I have a friend that hath been a malignant and is now converted, am I bound to discover him? Answer. This his malignity was either before the covenant or since. If before, no. For then this league had no being, and a non-esse can have no contrariety. if since the discovery must be at the first appearance of malignity, whilst he is so. Objection. What if one make a party to uphold prelacy, whilst it stands by law? Must I oppose him, or discover him by virtue of this oath? Doth the oath bind me to oppose legal acts? Answer. Number 1, query, whether there be any particular law for prelacy. Number 2, query, whether the making a party be legal. Number 3, query, whether anything, the extirpation of which is sworn by an ordinance of Parliament, can be said to stand by law. These are some queries I have met with. I heartily wish that the same tenderness of conscience in all things may be seen, which if not, it will hardly be called a scruple of tenderness, but a cavil of malignity. What now remains but only prayers, that the great God of our judgments and consciences would so clear and satisfy our souls in these leagues and bonds, that without reluctancy we may all swear to God, and, having sworn, we may have a care to keep the oath inviolable, that as once Israel, so all England may rejoice because of the oath, and God may establish and his kingdom settled. And God may be established and his kingdom settled, that his presence may dwell among men, and his protection among the sons of men, that he may be near in our covenanting, found in our prayers, and give us rest, and that we, being engaged, may live to him, and not to others, henceforth and forever.